Alright boys and girls, welcome back. So today we're not doing a mod so much, it's more a video of me talking, and the topic that we're going to be talking about is obviously the EP3, but mainly the things that I do and the things that I don't like about my particular EP3. This may be the same for you guys, but there are some points that are specific to my EP3. But yeah, I think a lot of people should know what kind of things they're expecting if they were looking to buy an EP3, or what they should kind of do going forward of modding an EP3 and stuff like that. So I've got 5 things that I do like and 5 things that I don't like, so let's get into them. So the first and probably the main one that everyone loves about these cars is the engine. Now the engine inside of these is a K20, and out of the factory they come out with the pre-facelift. It's 198 brake horsepower, and I believe the facelift version has, I think, 1 more horsepower. And the reason for that is stuff like light and flywheel, and there's some other mods. I think there is over like 200 differences between the pre-facelift and the facelift. But yeah, so the main thing is obviously the K20 engine. Now the K20 engine, as a lot of people know, has VTEC, which is variable valve timing basically. So once you get over 6,000 RPM, the second cam profile kicks in, giving you longer times of the valve staying open for fuel, air and everything like that, so it makes more power. But specifically, I think the thing that I like most about the K20 is the fact of is the sound of it, really. I mean, it's such a nice sound, especially when VTEC does kick in at that specific point. The higher up you have it, we'll say the bigger the kick in really is. And I believe the Tegua and Grump M intake also affect that, and there are some other intakes that do that as well, but I believe those two are the best for the noise. I'll put in a couple of clips, or just one clip that I got a while back. I think it was just when I got the EP3 remapped, and I go from like 0 all the way up to 70, and you can kind of hear the VTEC kick in at 5,000 RPM, and I think I hit off the rev limiter a couple of times as well, so I'll stick that here. So the next thing I like about the EP3 is the suspension. So I didn't actually quite realise how good the suspension actually was before buying the car, but going around B roads you really do realise how good the suspension actually is. So I believe on these they have a double wishbone independent suspension, which basically means the 2 rear wheels and front wheels act independently of each other, as opposed to the FN2, which has just a bar going across and attaches the 2, which isn't very good. But that also leads to very good cornering, and you can actually take speeds at corners. I believe the first time I ever went to Santa Pod Ultimate Street Car 2015, there was a guy who was driving, I don't know what it was, but it wasn't mapped or anything like that. I think I only had a catback at the time, and apparently he couldn't get over how fast it was able to take corners. I'll see if I can get that clip of him going, saying that I'm a good driver, but yeah, it wasn't a good drive. I'm not that particular good driver, but apparently he thought it was, but I just said it was good suspension, really. I don't know, it's just the car.
No, you're a good driver. Twice you nearly had to crash. Once when I was eating cherry, and a brake, and the second time was round the bend. You're a very good driver.
Thanks. Oh, and another thing as well is I actually haven't touched anything to do with suspension other than the sway bar or the anti-roll bar and drop links to allow the exhaust through. As it turns to coilovers, I haven't done camber. What other ones are there? I've forgotten what they're called, but yeah, I haven't touched suspension other than the anti-roll bar and drop links. So the third thing I like is the ease of buying parts and modifying this car. So being that it's an EP3, it is so easy to find parts to fit this car. As they were so popular and they are now so cheap, it's so easy to buy modifications. But you do get to a point, which I believe I'm at the moment, where now you've kind of finished with the kind of easier bolt-on mods. You're now pushing into the more expensive mods to get that little bit of power extra out of these cars. But yeah, I mean, with most of the stuff, each part of the exhaust, which came with the catback and obviously the 4231, was about £400-500 each. The intake cost me £100. Remap, including the ECU, cost me, if I was to just do it once, it would cost me about £1,000. So there, you're set around £2,000 back, but it's the best bolt-on mods that you can kind of do to this car. And with other cars, it can cost loads more to get that increase. I believe it's around 25% increase of what the engine is capable of with just bolt-on mods. So the next thing is the seats. So I believe a lot of people actually hate these seats just because of how weird they look, but I think for me, you know, that's what kind of fits in. I believe this hole is just so random. I like the Type R logo on the back of them. I feel like they hug me quite well. I mean, I'm quite a skinny person, so I would say that they hug me quite well, but I can see how people would find them uncomfortable. The bolsters on the side are a good size for me. I mean, you're not having to lift your legs so much to get out of them. And considering that these cars are around 14 years old, I mean, these seats are holding up quite well. You do have the Premier Edition and the Facelift Edition that came in the pure red, and the whole had changed, but I mean, it's up to preference really. But personally, I really do like them. I've never once had a problem of sitting into them and having back pains. My mum has a Tiguan R-Line, and I drove that to Ireland, and that killed my back for some reason. They were like proper leather seats, but these ones I find comfortable. I don't see any reason of why you'd want to change them other than getting the seat belts coming over the back, the 4-point, 5-point, 6-point, or whatever point they are. But yeah. So the final thing I like about this car is every single time I drive this car, it does not fail to put a smile on my face. I've owned this car for almost three years now, I think, 3 or 4 years, and I just enjoy sitting into it and driving it every single day or every week, how often I drive it. I just love it. Every time VTEC comes on or you put your foot down, it just puts a massive smile on my face. I mean, if that does it for a car, whether it's got 100 horsepower or 1,000 horsepower, as long as you're having fun driving a car, that's what it's really all about. So now we're on to the things that I don't like about the EP3. So the 5 things that I don't like, the first one is the fuel economy. So when I first got the car, it said it did about 30 miles per gallon, which is quite good. And when I went to Dartmoor, which is around 250 miles there, 250 miles back, I believe I got around that. I think I got around 28 miles per gallon, but that was all motorway driving, and that's before I had a remap, or I think I just changed the catback and that, so nothing had really affected at that point. But now that it's been remapped twice, and I noticed it from the first one, when VTEC kicks in earlier, you really do notice the difference of fuel economy. I mean, when it came in at 4,200 the first remap and 4,500 the second time, yeah, you really notice that you really have to stay out of it in order to conserve your petrol. I mean, I haven't actually checked the fuel economy on it so far, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 20 miles per gallon or less. But again, that all depends on how you drive it. Personally, I do bash the hell out of this car, to be honest, and that's why I love it so much. But in order to have that fun, you need to get up into that VTEC, and you really need to push it into, you know, push it to its limits, and obviously that's at the expense of fuel. So the 4th thing I don't like about the EP3 are parts of the interior, mainly the cream. So I'll show you. So as you come into the car, it's mainly grey / black and cream. So the reason why I did all of this carbon fibre wrap here and here is because I really don't like the cream in this car. I don't think it goes at all. And when I say cream, that silver / cream, I mean that's all the cream up there, and obviously the roof lining as well. Also, if anyone knows what that thing is there, I'm pretty sure it's the antenna, but I'm not 100% sure. Do let me know. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is. I feel like it's cheap and it just doesn't go, because you have the black interior, you've got like this green, you've got the red of the Type R, and you've got this cream. I just don't think it goes at all personally, and if I had a way of changing it other than spraying it black like some people do, I don't think all black is going to be any use or won't look any good either. But yeah, I don't know what it is, I just don't like the silver cream interior. I mean, the interior looks quite good, but not silver and cream. So the next 2 reasons I have to step out of the car. So one of the reasons is specifically to my car, and well, I mean, both of them really are specific to my car, but one more specific to me than the other one. But anyway, so the first thing is the paint. The paint that is on this car is absolutely awful. So when I first got this car, I just wanted an EP3. I didn't care what it looked like or anything like that. As long as it drove well, I didn't really care. And I think I bought this car for around £3,000 with 87,000 miles, which in nowadays isn't that bad. I can't really find one, I mean, for that price and that low mileage. But the paint on this thing is absolutely awful. I don't know who owned it last, but they really didn't care about it. When I first took the door cards off, there was broken glass all inside. There's broken glass down the splitter, or not the splitter, the side skirt. And yeah, it wasn't taken care of, and I'll show you some extra points. So as you can see here, you've got all of this stone chips. Again, all of this is kind of normal and expected to see, but for some reason it's all on one side and there's none on this side. Carrying on from that, you've got some stone chips here, and you've got random places that you just wouldn't expect to see, like there. I mean, I did a little touch-up paint on that and it looks awful for one, but that had rust inside of it, which I had to clean out. But this door is the worst door. This door is the worst door. I mean, it looks dirty enough as it is, but this is probably the cleanest it's gonna look. So at the top here, look, you can see, as you can see here, there's kind of like these dots all over the place, and here, I know the dirt on the side of it doesn't help, but there is a part where it's kind of all scratched on this side, and someone tried to use touch-up paint. They did the touch-up paint and they put too much and it started dripping, and then it dripped and then stuck, and it was just, you know, it was just awful. There are a couple of other dings as well. You've got a ding here, which you can easily see. That's not something you can just kind of get out. You'd have to fill that in. And you also have this ding here. Same thing again, someone tried to fill it and the paint ran, and yeah, it's crap. So the fourth thing is the front bumper. So on these pre-facelifts, I think the bumper just doesn't look that aggressive. I mean, some people do like them compared to the facelift ones, but I prefer the facelift one compared to the pre-facelift one. So I mean, if you're looking from that, it doesn't look that mean. People do lower them and they say they look more mean, but I don't know, there's nothing really standing out. People often change for the Mugen splitter, but even then I think that just looks too much, and because this is so kind of like smooth, and then the bottom side of it is so aggressive, it just doesn't go, in my opinion. I think the floodlights really do it justice on the facelift versions, and yeah, I have to fix that as well because that's just dangling down. So the fifth and final thing is the hate that Hondas get. So as I'm sure a lot of people who have EP3s are aware, that anyone who owns an EP3 is seen as a racer. For people who don't know what a racer is, it stands for a race-inspired cosmetic enhancements. So anything that you put on the car that makes it look faster but isn't any faster whatsoever. So examples are big massive spoilers, or fart cans, or you know, stuff like that. But the way I look at it is, if that's what you want to do to your car, that's what you want to do to your car. The main issue is the people who do that stuff and then say that it adds horsepower or it adds downforce or it does something that it clearly doesn't do, and they say that they do all of this stuff to their car and they can beat everyone. It's just not the case. But you know, you're always going to get those people who are going to say that sort of stuff, and there's always going to be that sort of culture in the car community. But you know, you just kind of have to put it to one side and just do what makes you happy, but not at the expense of other people, if that kind of makes sense. But yeah, anyway, so that is kind of my opinion on this EP3. I'll probably do a review of my car, just to say more good points and what people are expected, how much they're looking to probably buy one of these for, and how it actually is to drive. But due to a couple of videos being made late and waiting for parts, I'll probably have to do that later on down the line. And a part of the reason why I want to do that is I feel like I've done all the best bolt-on mods that you can do possible. So this is kind of the end of what you can do with an EP3 and the maximum power that you can get, other than spending upwards of £1,000 per modification. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. For anyone who's new, who's watching, I hope you enjoyed, gave you more insight into what this car actually is and what you're expected to do. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time for another tasty video. Thanks for watching.